Hi everybody, it's Dr. Chabot, and in this video we're going to look at what we do when we don't have a uniform charge distribution on our sphere and how we can apply Gauss's law for that. So just to recall, if we have a uniform charge distribution, then we could write that rho was equal to my Q total over my volume total. And so then we could still get our Q enclosed from geometry by just taking rho times the amount of volume enclosing charge. But what if we're given a rho that is non-uniform? So if it's a non-uniform rho, well, what do we mean by that? So if we actually think about it in spherical symmetry, we have three dimensions, right? Rho can vary with radius. It can vary with both of the angles that are used, so theta and phi, that are used in spherical coordinates. So it can basically vary in all 3D space, right? So all 3D space, but not for us, because we still need, so basically it could vary, but to use Gauss's law, to still be able to use, not that Gauss's law wouldn't apply, but again, remember, we're only doing it when we have nice symmetry. So to still use Gauss's law, we need angular symmetry. I'm just going to summarize both of those into generally calling it angular symmetry. Because we need, when we draw our Gaussian surface, right, if this is my imaginary Gaussian surface, here, I need to have all parts experience the same electric field, and so that I need to have angular symmetry here. So for us, we're only going to have rho varying with r. So it's only going to vary with r radially in order to keep that symmetry on the left-hand side of Gauss's law. So we're really only messing with the right-hand side for getting our Q enclosed. And so our left-hand side, to kind of summarize this discussion, the left-hand side is still going to be E times 4 pi r squared. So we're still keeping our left-hand side symmetry, but now we have to figure out how to do the right-hand side. We have to figure out how to get Q enclosed. So how would we get Q enclosed if we're given a variable r? And so the Q enclosed, or not a variable r, but a variable density. So the Q enclosed, right, is going to then be found by taking tiny bits of charge on different volumes and then adding them up. So if we have, you know, a tiny bit of charge, which I'm going to call dq, that is on some tiny volume, dv, I could write this as dq is equal to my density rho times that tiny volume, right? I essentially took this larger equation of Q equals rho times volume, and I made it small, right? So I made it into calculus world by making the charge small, and the amount of charge is small because I just have a small amount of volume. And so that's going to be the, you know, the key idea for how we can get dq here. And if we had dq, we could get the total q by adding up over that volume all of my little dq's, right? So what am I going to use for dv? So because I have rho only varies with r in these cases, for us, again, because we need that angular symmetry. So we can actually picture our volume, our dV, as a tiny or a very thin, it's not that it's tiny, we're going to use a very thin spherical shell. I like to think about an onion layer with like none of the onion inside of it, just that one onion layer. So you could like picture a hollow onion layer. And so if we have this tiny spherical shell, and we're going to give it some radius, and I'm going to call that, say, r prime, just to differentiate it from our Gaussian surface r. And then it's going to have here some thickness associated with it, dr prime. So it has some tiny, tiny little thickness. If you imagine laying it flat, then if you do that, right, you would have, you know, some shape to it, but the surface area equals 4 pi r squared, and then again the thickness of the onion layer is just, and this is 4 pi r prime squared, so let me write that a little bit more neatly with some parentheses so we can keep our r prime straight and it doesn't look like r to the 12th. And then this will be dr prime. So that's basically going to be my kind of flat onion layer made into this rectangle. And so the volume, the tiny volume of this onion layer here is going to be equal to the surface area, 4 pi r squared, times dr. And so 4 pi r prime squared times dr prime. And so that's the tiny bit of volume that I can use from this. Some people also like to derive that because we can say that volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed. And so you can then get that we would have, if I go down here, that dV dr is equal to 4 pi r squared. So dV equals 4 pi r squared dr. So that's just a different kind of derivation of the same thing, but I think it's important to be able to picture these onion layers. And so each onion layer, so each thin shell has some tiny charge dq, and that dq again equals rho dv, and now we've decided that that dv is rho times 4 pi r squared dr. Sorry, I keep forgetting the prime. In my own work, I very often leave off the prime because I know which r I'm talking about at any moment. I just want to make sure we're differentiating from our Gauss's law little r, and this is now a different radius that we're using to add up all the onion layers inside the shell. And so I can then get Q enclosed from adding up, and now I'm going to be adding up again over all the volume, right? So I'm going to be adding up from wherever I'm enclosing charge, so that's going to be my enclosing volume for rho, which is some function you would have to be given in the problem, and then times 4 pi r prime quantity squared dr prime. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a quick example of this. Let's say that I have a spherical shell, and so it looks like a donut here, but it's actually three-dimensional kind of hollow sphere. So a hollow sphere, inner radius A, outer radius B, and I want to know, say in this scenario, the charge enclosed by some Gaussian surface that has a radius in between A and B. So I want to find the charge enclosed in that space. And so again, I'm kind of shading in the visual of that space for us. And so I can just say here, Q enclosed is going to be equal to the integral, and it's going to be the integral of rho. Let's give this a variable rho, sorry, in the problem. Let's say that rho was equal to beta, or B over R to the fourth. So it's going to be my variable rho. I'm going to call this B over, and again, I'm using R prime here just to differentiate it for finding this Q enclosed versus doing it for the Gaussian surface. So B over R prime to the fourth times my dV, so 4 pi R prime squared dr prime. And then I'm going to integrate this for the limits from the inside. I'm picturing the onion layer at the very inside at R equals A, at R prime equals A, and then I'm going to integrate and add up all my onion layers all the way out. And since I only want to go to my Gaussian surface, I'm then going to integrate to R, where R is the radius of my Gaussian surface. And so I would then execute this integral. I could see here that I basically have the integral from A to R of 4 pi b, which is a constant, times R prime to the negative 2 dr prime. And so that simply becomes 1 over, so 4 pi b times 1 over R prime. And then I would have a negative out here evaluated from A to R. And so when I simplify this and take care of the negative signs, I end up with 4 pi b times, and then I would be able to switch my negative signs by switching the inside terms. So I would have 1 over A minus 1 over R. And that would be my charge enclosed. If I wanted, and then I would use that in Gauss's law. If I wanted my total charge, you just change the limits to take into account the total charge. So the total charge would then just be the integral from A to B. So again, just changing this upper limit in order to encompass the whole thing. So I would have the same result, except for I would then get 4 pi b and then times 1 over A minus 1 over B. So for our non-uniform charge distributions, we are specifically only looking at non-uniform charge distributions that are still spherically symmetric, and they vary only with the spherical radius r. And so we can always picture these little onion layers that we're adding up, and the total charge on each onion layer then contributes to the total charge enclosed.